Our coast to coast odyssey rolls on. We have had this specific dot on the map on our radar for ages, and finally it happened. Cintacor Island Resort. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the island in the sea. They claim this is the only private island resort in India now. If you know anything about Indian coastal security laws, owning an island is usually as legal as printing your own currency. But this place is a geopolitical anomaly. History says it was handed over by a colonial occupant, likely from the British era, to a local family with legal wording so strong that it remained a private kingdom while the rest of the country changed maps. So yes, we are technically on a private rock. It is a 20-minute boat ride from Karwar. We checked in for 2 nights with a very responsible plan. I had work. The kid had a holiday project. We called it a relaxed study-cation. Spoiler alert. That plan died immediately. We land. Wi-Fi, down, mobile signal, sketchy at best. So, work is out. But Sunny Boy, he is sincere. He religiously spreads his notebooks on the balcony. Now picture this. We are on the edge of a cliff. Vast sea. Boats passing on the horizon. Asking a teenager to focus on schoolwork here isn't parenting. It is a setup. The miracle lasted exactly 1 hour. And then I became the distraction. I saw these massive birds flying right at our eye level. If you remember, the theme of the strip was unbox the costly camera hobby. But honestly, we were on the fastest track to skip the basics. It was like trying to fly a fighter jet before learning to ride a bicycle. We started clicking from the cottage balcony. Easy, eye level. But then we got greedy. We wanted the overhead shots, the National Geographic stuff. Have you ever tried pointing a heavy camera with a massive telephoto lens straight up? With our not so steady hands, it looked like we were filming an earthquake, but the birds, mostly Brahminy Kites, got curious. Fun fact. These guys are technically scavengers, which means they are smart enough to let you do the hard work and then swoop in. They hovered right above us, probably wondering, what are these two jokers up to? But hey, a few clicks actually work. Now that our life had a new purpose and we had successfully dumped the study plan, we decided to explore. What do you do on an isolated island, Jack? Well, you hit the spots. First up, the Sunset Point, a secluded clean beach area. Imagine beach benches perfectly placed between rock crops, facing a beautiful, unblocked view of the sea. It is like they designed it for lazy people like us. But before we talk nature, the foodie in me has to hijack this narration. The high tea and snacks served here, top tier. Priorities, people. Snack first, sunset later. This spot is also the hub for water activities, and my son, who takes to the sea like a turtle, picked his favorite, kayaking. I have questions about this name. You sit in a plastic boat so dangerously small, I am convinced it exists solely to tip you over. And they give you a stick with a spatula attached to the end. He calls it kayaking. I call it floating with a kitchen utensil, but he takes off. No formal training, just confidence. He paddled until he was a small dot on the horizon. After the water games, we settled in. The sunset moment is a beautiful spot to be. The beautiful yellow tinted lights reflecting on the rocks. We just decide to climb through a few rocks, then find a good spot to sit and watch the show. You know those moments where you imagine a mild soundtrack in your ears with the sea waves mildly splashing in the rocks? Yeah, this was one of those. Next up, the infinity pool. I don't know who coined that term, probably a poet who was bad at math, but here it fits. A massive pool opening up to the vast ocean with absolutely nothing in the view. That right there, that is money's worth. Now, usually this is when people try that classic holding the sun photo. We thought, why not? Let's try the sun on sun moment. We tried to grab it, eat it, pinch it. Result. We looked like we were asking the sky for spare change. Yeah, we gave up. We are definitely not made for that influencer life. We will stick to blurry photos and good memories. And then the real magic happened. The sun decides to say goodbye to the fellow it roasted all day. It brings out a broad brush and a bucket of orange tin paint. We witnessed the broad stroke sunset. You know how kids draw a sunset? With those large stick-like rays emitting from the horizon? Well, turns out the sun was mocking us. It looked exactly like that. Maybe we were all Picassos back in kindergarten and we just didn't know it. And finally, spot number 3. Social media influencers would hate this spot. It is just the boat jetty. Nobody comes here except to check in or out. But for us, it was the best. Why? Because it supports our favorite activity, doing nothing. Or, as I call it, teaching patience. We wanted to fish. They didn't have gear, but the staff put together a stick fishing rod for us. We sat there for an hour, waiting for the bite. The result, zero fish. But nature wasn't harsh on us. Just as we were packing up, voila, a tortoise on the rocks. Now, biology textbooks will tell you tortoises are slow. This guy didn't read the textbook. He was moving faster than our ultra-fast autofocus lens. He marched right up to us. Didn't hide in his shell, didn't care. Fun fact. Tortoises have nerve endings in their shells, so they can feel every vibration. So he knew exactly where we were. I think he was the Jetty Supervisor coming to check our permits. And he wasn't alone. We were told dolphins hang out here. First sighting, right there at the jetty while we were failing at fishing, just popping up to mock our empty hooks. So we decided to get closer. We took a boat ride around the island, and that's when our friend decided to show off up close and personal. Fun fact. Dolphins are one of the few animals that give themselves names, unique whistles to identify each other. I'm pretty sure this one's name was Show Off. So, the final verdict? A well-maintained property, well-trained staff. The food started off a little meh, but caught up quickly to become excellent. Honestly, It lives up to the tag of the only private island resort. If you want that blend of a not so crowded place with beautiful views, this should be on your bucket list. It is not known to many, and honestly, we are glad to do some PR service for a property that actually deserves it.